Jai Mahamaya Ki Jai. We'll continue on with chapter 52 from the Devi Bhagavatam Retold by Ramesh Menon. Jnana is wisdom, and true wisdom is only the knowledge of the Atman, the imperishable soul, the Brahman that was never created, but always was and shall be, which is the foundation and the source of lives and worlds. The condition beyond change, the undying peace and ecstasy. Desire prompts karma, action, and desire causes attachment. A man expects to enjoy the fruits of his karma, what he does. Lost in a jungle of deeds and desires, darkness engulfs him, and he seeks his peace outside himself, where it is never to be found. Enduring happiness, the joy of the soul, exists only within you, the bliss of the soul, immaculate, untouched by sorrow, attachment, or desire. Welling as naturally in the depths of your own hearts as breath does in your bodies. That is Gyan, which ends the darkness of the mind and liberates the embodied soul from incarnation, reunites him with this eternal truth. Yet the Shrutis do not advocate sloth. An embodied being must spend his years engaged in karma yoga for deeds performed without desires for their fruits, but done with perfect relinquishment. As worship, these too are liberators. Whatever you do, offer it as devotion to the Brahman. Why to me? And you shall come to salvation, to moksha, from which there is no return, to the realms of sorrow. Seek perfection in your every deed, and you shall come to peace one day. Seek wisdom too, for deeds without wisdom are hollow. The embodied being has much need of karma as of Gyan, just as he has need of day and night. Some of the wise say that at last, just as day and night cannot exist at the same time, so too karma yoga and Gyan cannot. Karma loosens the bonds of desires and attachment that bind all creatures in darkness, while Gyan severs those knots. But then both time and the path to enlightenment are not short, but span many lives, and each soul must pass through all the stages and shades of evolution and experience before coming to nirvana, which is the final aim of the incarnate lives the spirit assumes. Slowly taking many steps forward and many back, also the soul treads the long way to mukti, learning many lessons, unlearning them, and learning them again, purified by thousands of births and deaths. The spirit rises towards the light of the Brahman, from where it will never return. Himalaya asked Devi Mahamaya, tell me about the last yoga and its 8 angas, the limbs of the ultimate samadhi. The union between Jivatma and the Paramatma is samadhi. 6 enemies intervene between the soul and its primal source: lust, greed, anger, ignorance, vanity, and envy. The 8 angas of yoga wear away these sins and set the spirit free, so it flies toward the eternal sanctuary. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyabhara, dharana, and samadhi. These are the 8 yogangas. Yama is ahimsa, nonviolence, and truthfulness. It is honesty, where a being renounces the thievishness in its nature. It is brahmacharya, continence. It is daya, compassion. It is forgiveness and steadfastness, and frugality in food and speech, and purity of the body and the spirit. Niyama is tapasya, ascetic penance. It is contentment. It is astikya, faith in God. In Dharma, the Vedas and Devas, and the recognition of adharma. It is charity, it is free, modesty, it is shraddha, the performance of rituals, it is japam, chanting the Gayatri, the Puranas, and other sacred mantras. It is homan, offering oblations to the holy fire, to Lord Agni. These are all purifiers of the wise. Then there are the asanas, the postures of Dhyan. 5 of them are main: Padmasana, Swastikasana, Bhadrasana, Vajrasana, and Virasana. When the aspiring yogi sits comfortably in any one of these asanas, he then performs pranayama, the way of breathing. He draws in breath slowly, deeply through his left nostril, Ida, counting 16 ohms. He retains the precious prana, the life breath, for as long as he counts 64 ohms, so it permeates his body, his very self. Then he releases it gradually through the pingala, the right nostril, counting 34 ohms. After the first signs of the successful pranayama is when the body begins to sweat. Later, the yogin will experience trembling. Finally, when the pranayama is truly mastered, the yogin will rise from the ground and levitate. After pranayama comes pratyahara. If the senses are unchecked, they flow spontaneously towards the objects of the senses and are frustrated, for there is no lasting fulfillment in the union of the senses with their objects. Drawing the senses back from this illusory objects to their very source within the body and the mind is pratyahara. When the consciousness is fixed upon its fonts in the body, the toes, the heels, the knees, the thighs, the genitals, the navels, the heart, the throat, the palate, the nose, the space in between the brows, the top of the head. This indrawing is dharma. And when external consciousness is subsumed slowly into the greater self within, the Ishta Devatas, the personal God, that is dhyan. After long dhyan comes samadhi, which is the ultimate union in which the senses of the individual self is lost entirely in the consciousness of God. Samadhi also is of 2 kinds, savikalpaka and nirvikalpaka. When there is consciousness of the Brahman, but awareness of the Jivatman also remains, that samadhi is called savikalpaka. And where there is consciousness only of the Brahman, single and undifferentiated, when the individual self is entirely subsumed and ceases to be, that is the final samadhi, the nirvikalpaka. In the human body, there are 350,000 nadis, or of these 10 are main, and of the 10, just 3 are principal. The Shushuma nadi is within the spiritual column and is red, of the nature of fire. It extends from the base of the spine to the Brahmahandra at the top of the head, where it resembles an unfurled Dustura flower. To the left of this nadi is the Ida nadi, white and of the moon's essence. This is the ambrosial nadi, gentle, feminine, and blissful. To the right of the Shamna is the Pingala nadi of the sun's nature, which is masculine. Himavana asked, how Bhagavati does a bhakta begin his sadhana of discovery? She said, and her words have come down the ages, First, assume a yogasana. Then with paraka pranayama, fix your mind upon the Muladhara Padman at the base of your spine. Take the vital prana down between the anus and the genitals and rouse the serpent that slumbers here, the kundalini. Once roused, the kundalini rises up along the spinal stem and pierces the higher chakras, awakening the radiant lingas along its subtle journey, until the prana arrives at the highest chakra, the lotus of 1,000 petals, where the Svayambhu Adi Lingam dwells. Give your prana, your very heart, over to the precious Sahasra Padman. Give yourself a deep dhyan to the Shiva united in the final lotus, in the brain with his Shakti. An ambrosia of bliss flows in the Bindu Padman from the eternal question of Shiva and Shakti. It resembles a crimson lock. The wise who have achieved yoga union sip the Amrit then, worshipping all the devas and all the chakras. The yogin begins the Shakti down into the Muladhara again. This he does every day, and by this sadhana, frees himself from samsara, from every attachment, severs any bond that has ever bound him through all the many births, and becomes an enlightened one. This, O mountain, O devas, is the Pavana Dharma Yoga. There is another path to salvation, the Dharana. Those who live in the Kali Yuga, or those whose hearts are not pure, can fix their minds and hearts on me, on my form of light. I pervade all creation, and the Dharana Yoga leads as surely to moksha as the Pavana Dharana Yoga. But if a yogin finds even that dhyan more than he can do, for this darkness and fear that beset him from within or without, there is a Vayava Yoga, where he does not conceive me entirely, but only my hands or feet, or any other limb or organ of mine. By this he shall find enough purity of heart to then perform the Dharma Yoga. Japam, Homan, and mantra are what dissolves a bhakta's heart, his very life, into the Godhead that I am. Mantra and yoga are the two paths to moksha. Each one is of little use without the other. O Himalayas, Devas, you have heard the secret of secrets from me today, and someday it shall set you free, for I have become your guru. A man must learn the yoga from a realized guru, else all the millions of sastras can never make him truly understand the truth. He will only be lost in the bewildering jungle of fantasies. The guru is the key to the wisdom. Without a guru, no sadhana can be fruitful. The guru is the key to wisdom. Without a guru, no sadhana can be fruitful, said the Devi Bhagavati, the greatest primal guru upon the Himalaya, said Vedavyasa to King Janamejaya. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.